Welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Today, we're filling in for Dr. Pat. Thank you, Dr. Pat, for this opportunity. And we're going to talk about caregiving. Yesterday on our show, the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, we talked about how we're taking care of my mother-in-law who can't hear and also has dementia. We describe how we take an energy approach and talk to her, meaning my mother-in-law, her subconscious and her essence directly. If you're caregiving with someone who has lost their consciousness, meaning with dementia or without language or something to that effect, you have to listen to this show. Stay tuned. We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the ecosystem approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. By the way, I'm Patricia, and this is Jason. So, Jason, can you review for the audience out there what we talked about on our show yesterday?
Yes, and truly, if you want to go listen to that show, and you'll be listening right now, and you want the backstory, it's there. Go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, and go to the radio tab, and it's there. You can find us on Facebook at theecosystemapproach.org also, and the video is recorded there.
Okay.
But I'm going to just jump in from where we left off, and please go back and listen to that other show because it's really interesting.
Right.
But so we're taking care of my mom.
Mm-hmm.
We know her emotional story,
Mm-hmm.
which is that she was enslaved, she was possessed, she was controlled inappropriately by my dad all my life. And it's not just her story, it's my story. Because I always knew there was something wrong with my dad.
Sure.
And there was something.
And he was undiagnosed or not quite diagnosed possible schizophrenia.
Yeah, we suspected that. He would never go in to be evaluated. He didn't think anything was wrong with him. It was everybody else.
Right.
And I know one of the general practitioners, he had this very, very unsophisticated approach. He said to my dad one time, "Everybody thinks you're crazy. Don't you know everybody thinks you're crazy?" And of course that didn't work with him.
No, it only made him mad.
He wasn't stupid.
No,
he wasn't
not at all.
stupid by any means. And they tried to prescribe an antipsychotic, and that didn't work. He was functioning,
right.
And he took care of the finances and that sort of thing in the family, and did a decent job with that.
Right.
But this is the story of my mom being enslaved to my dad, and now she's here. She has dementia. She can't hear, but that story is relevant to what we're doing.
What we're doing in the ecosystem approach.
And what we've done is, because she can't hear and she has dementia, and those two are related.
By the way,
and we said this yesterday, but I think it's really true. It's worth repeating. For her, she has a perfect life because she was always very sensitive about being wrong.
Yes. And
when you can't hear and you have dementia, you don't ever have to be responsible for anything.
Exactly.
You can't hear anything. Oh, what'd you say? Or
that kind of thing.
Or I couldn't remember, that sort of thing.
Oh, that's
And it's in a way, she's created the perfect life for herself even though it may be from a dysfunctional place.
Exactly. By the way, and one of the things that we see is that there are thousands of people that do exactly that. They create the perfect life for themselves by closing themselves off and not paying attention to what's going on.
Or creating some sort of dysfunction.
Exactly. Because they have a dysfunction, they're creating these little pods for themselves. And being out in the world is, I mean, yeah, the grocery store is fine, but being out in the world, they can't function at all. And by the way, she can't function.
You know, and so what we've noticed is that that energy that was attached to my dad sought to draw her into his reality.
Exactly.
And also for, you know, myself and my sister, which is part of our family, we both my sister and I left as soon as we could. We grew up in Minnesota, which is where they lived, and we both left as soon as we could, but he kept trying to draw us in, and we've noticed that that's not unique, that there's a lot of it goes from all the way from a very mundane thing where alcoholics don't want to drink alone.
Yes.
You know, people that have some sort of mental illness or are possessive or abusive.
Correct.
Seek to draw in other people into their reality.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that that's negative energy, dark energy, and we're going to talk about that today.
Right.
And what we've been doing with my mom is going around her lack of awareness, ability to hear,
mm-hmm.
and her dementia, and going to her essence, using our intuition. You know, we call it refined intuition, our evolved consciousness, and talking to her at the highest level of her essence directly.
Right.
And we've been doing that probably in the last 6 months. We just recently were talking to her, and we've noticed a difference.
Well, and one of the things that is very interesting is you have to be around someone that has these problems, we'll say it that way, or that they have been possessed by someone else. And by the way, I guarantee you, everyone out there knows someone, and you might even be that person that is being possessed by someone else.
Yeah,
and this, by the way, is not the way it is supposed to be.
That we've always shied away from that word because it
meaning the word possession.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it scares people.
Yes,
we see that there's this competition on earth right now,
mm-hmm.
with what we call the light and the dark. And most people think of terms of good and bad, or moral and immoral.
Yes.
And that's not it. The light and the dark seeks to stop people from their evolution
and consume that person's light.
Yeah, and the great metaphor for that, an archetype of that, is the parent that says, well, I'm doing this for your own good.
Right.
I'm controlling you, I'm directing you for your own good, which in fact is actually stopping their evolution.
Exactly.
So let's keep going on this.
Okay.
We've learned that people that lack complete consciousness, dementia, mental illness, autism, mm-hmm. addictions, mm-hmm. you know, when you're drunk, when
alcoholism,
you're
drug
high,
addiction,
yes, you're prey for these negative energies that we're talking about.
Correct.
You're an open vessel, and it attracts that negative energy. Mm-hmm. Now, I've been thinking about this. We haven't even talked about this yet, but I've been thinking about this. For us, we see it, but most of that attraction is not random dark energy that's just come in with my mom. It has to do with her personally. And what we've seen is that my dad died 9 years ago. But his desire to come to come and possess her mm-hmm.
is still happening.
Yes, in the non-physical dimension.
Exactly.
That energy that sought to possess her is still alive,
exactly,
so to speak, and trying to take her away.
Exactly.
And what we've been doing, as soon as we see it, we clear it away, and she gets better. She'll get grumpy and difficult and stubborn.
Yes.
And we see it, and we clear my dad away, and she gets better.
And she becomes happy. And by the way, Jason's mother is one of the kindest, sweetest people that you ever want to meet.
That's her normal.
That's her normal. That is really who she is. And when she gets grumpy and vicious, I've even seen her be vicious. We know it's not her. You know, we just know. You know, uh, the bottom line is that we know, because we see so many of the things that are holding, that hold her, I'm going to use the word hostage, is we know that it's not okay.
Yes.
We know that it is not okay. And it, by the way, not acceptable to either one of us. So, Jason,
we've seen it over and over again, and these are some dramatic examples. But
okay,
she was screaming in
the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night, we couldn't wake her up, and so what we started doing is clearing away my dad.
Yes.
And she woke up, and she was there, and she was present, and she said, "Oh, I had this bad dream." When one time she had an outburst of rage, which is very, if you read the books, they say it's very common.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean it's right, or that it should be there, or it's not negative
or
energy.
Or that you can't do anything about it.
Exactly.
Yes,
and we've been clearing it and using the ecosystem approach to do that.
And we know that it makes a difference.
Here's the other thing.
Okay.
Our objective is not just to keep my mom alive by clearing her, but to help her evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing that by talking to her at the highest levels.
Exactly.
So we'll talk more about the ethics in the next segment.
Okay. Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
We see that there are energies that seek to possess others and take their vital energy.
Mm-hmm.
These dark energies are more common than generally accepted or known. We have no language for it. Clearing using the ecosystem approach can be very effective with these bad energies, especially for those who can't do it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the ecosystem approach shows you how to have all the innate abilities to communicate without language.
I love it. In the next segment, we're going to talk about a very interesting and unique way that we talk to mom at, of course, the highest levels. That's very, very effective. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and we're filling in for Dr. Pat today. Thank you, Dr. Pat. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about a very interesting and unique way to, well, how we talk to his mom at the highest level that is very effective. We're sitting in for Dr. Pat today. Thank you again, Dr. Pat. We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the Ecosystem Approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Jason, explain to the audience how we talk to mom when she can't hear and she has dementia that is so bad. It's deep and or even be able to have important discussions. It's not possible for her.
So what we do, and we've done this, we do this all the time. I mean, we come in and we clear together every day. This is part of our routine.
It is.
Clearing the negative energy. But we just sit down, and this is refined intuition in action. And
by the way, how you get that refined intuition
is using the ecosystem approach of the byproducts, of natural byproducts.
Exactly.
Because human beings have that. We're supposed to have that. We're not supposed to. It's not like you develop it necessarily. You have it, and you have negative energy sitting on top of it that keeps you from using it to the highest level.
And how that happened, and how that has happened to everyone, is that it's been programmed that we are not allowed to use our intuition. And we're saying, oh, yes, you are allowed. And it's really an amazing gift.
So we'll just, what we do is we just sit down and say, let's talk to mom. And typically the way we work is just because of we both have high levels of intuition. I like to sit and do the questions, and she's the communicator. And
in other words, the energy, the information comes to me.
Yes. So that just works really well for us.
It does.
She doesn't need me, and I don't need her to do it. We can both do it by ourselves, but this is what works for us in the best way.
Exactly.
And we just start talking, and she and she either has conversation out loud, or she just tells me what she says to mom and what mom says back, and we just take it from there. And then we use that information to clear what's in her ways so she can continue to do what her purpose.
Exactly.
That she understands what her
phenomenal,
purpose is.
Actually.
It really is.
Yes.
And so if you have a child that's pre-verbal,
yes.
If you have a child with special needs, she had a sister who had the mentality.
Major special needs.
And I think that's worth talking about just really briefly. That you could see even as a child yourself.
Yes.
She was 2 years younger than you. That she had a consciousness. She had they said that she had the ability of a 3-year-old.
Right. That was at the highest level.
She topped out. So as she got older, she was still a 3-year-old.
Yes.
But you saw there was a consciousness there.
Yes, it was it's interesting because I did see that there was a consciousness there, and I would actually talk to that consciousness. And when I did talk to it directly, when I would look in her eyes and talk to it directly, the most amazing thing would happen. She would get this sinister smile on her face. And I would say to her, "You know what I'm talking about, don't you?" And she would smile the sinister, and then she would go, "Yes." She could say, there was words she definitely used, but she'd say, "Yes." And I mentioned it to my mother one day, and my mother said, "Oh, that's, you're full of hooey." But I have to tell you, I knew, and I still know to this day, she was totally possessed by something that was unbelievably negative. And I'm going to use the word again, sinister. And by the way, she manipulated the entire family with this sinister energy. It was unreal.
It's not politically correct to talk about this.
No, it's not.
We're programmed to believe that we should have pity. We should see people with a handicap as worthy of special attention, and we're not able to see them in any other way.
We're not allowed to see them in any other way.
And because of programming, we've been our intuition's been dumbed down. We can't see anything like that. So let's keep talking about that. Let's talk about dark energy.
Okay.
We've talked about this before, and most of our clients that have worked with us are star seeds. Yes. And if you don't know what that is, you can look it up. It's you have a connection to places in the universe that are outside of Earth. And you were sent here with a purpose. Well, dark energy seeks to block you. We've talked about the mark, that star seeds are marked, and usually with some sort of trauma or difficulty or struggles that keeps them from doing their purpose, uncovering their purpose and doing it.
Right.
So, and there's this contest between the light and the dark, because the dark seeks to enslave. The dark seeks to program humanity so that they're in control, and that our natural inclination to have our own self-determination from our essence or our soul is taken away. And that's how we distinguish between light and dark. It's not necessarily good and bad.
Right.
So one of the ways that we determine how to talk to someone around
that negative energy,
or any blocks that they have to their consciousness, like dementia, inability to hear, children that don't have language, is to go around and go to the highest levels. And we see, one of the best way we see that is to see it as a headquarters.
Okay.
And imagine this headquarters has 10 stories. And one of the things, if you go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, and sign up for a free section, there's a whole article about the discovery, where we discovered that most people have 80% of their essence or their soul is blocked. And most people have never understood what that means. So I came up with a metaphor, and I think this is really neat.
And the metaphor is the building of 10 stories.
You have your headquarters, 10 stories. Imagine on 8 of those stories, all the employees are sitting around throwing spitballs, are doing online shopping, are playing games, are just having fun all day. Or more importantly, they're doing things that are contrary to the best interest of the company, like making deals that aren't productive,
Correct.
and creating projects and things like that that hurt you. So if you take away from the metaphor, what that means is that's where illness and disease comes from.
Mhm.
That's where divorce comes from. That's where bad relationships, money problems, accidents,
Mhm.
all those things are from those floors of eight floors of employees that aren't working in the best interest of that headquarter company.
Correct.
That headquarter being you and your desire to be here and your purpose. So we go to the highest levels and
Mhm.
talk to that part that's still functional, that's still working in the best interest of that individual. And in this case, my mom, and say, hey, you were here for a purpose. You're not here to be enslaved by dad. You're here to fulfill a purpose and learn how to live with life force in a way that's natural and organic to you. And she, at the highest level, gets that.
She does.
My mother gets that. She's a starseed herself, and she gets that. And it's a really exciting thing that happens as we work with her. Now, I have to say this. This is kind of a note. People will try and take what we're saying and make it into a formula or a process or a
Right.
methodology,
Right.
and that's programming. We say if this is interesting to you, chances are you're a starseed already, and it's time for you to develop your refined intuition, involved consciousness, and then go out in the world for your particular situation and look and see what's there.
Right.
You know, don't take this as sort of a program or 3 ways to talk to someone who lacks consciousness. It's you have to develop these resources, see what's there, and then respond in an appropriate way. It's like having a conversation. You
Right.
know, someone says X and then you say Y, and you don't just say Y without knowing what they're going to say. You
Or
respond to
hearing
that.
what they had to say.
Right.
Exactly.
So and some people I know, I don't know if we have enough time, but I think um, some people talk about the morality of this. And this is my mom's story that's connected to my story.
That is correct.
And what I'm trying to do is heal my story first, and then through my mom.
And then helping your mom.
Right. And this not only heals my story, but you know, your story with your sister is also healing. We're doing the same thing with your sister by looking
Exactly.
at the energy in your family.
Correct.
And there's a healing effect that has like a ripple when you throw a pebble into a pond.
Yes.
And that's what we're doing. If this interests you, this is the ecosystem approach. Listen to our show. Go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, and sign up for a free section.
Exactly.
So,
Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Evolved consciousness and refined intuition have many practical applications.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding the structure of essence using a company headquarter metaphor. Don't accept any bad employees. You know,
plain and simple.
You can clear those bad employees away, but
Right.
when you take them out, you have to retrain the new ones. And we'll talk about that, you know, in another time. Using refined intuition to talk to someone's consciousness at the highest level can be very effective and useful.
Mm-hmm.
And the ecosystem approach shows you how to create refined intuition and evolve consciousness for a better life.
Exactly. In the next segment, we're going to give you a summary of our 2-part show on caregiving. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. Thank you once again, Dr. Pat, for letting us fill in for you today. And you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to give you a summary of our 2-part show on caregiving. There's a lot of good information here, so stay tuned. We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the Ecosystem Approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Jason, we've done 2 shows on caregiving. Can you give us the main points for these two shows?
So we're going to go through some of the main points
Okay.
and talk about them. And we're not going to do key points on this segment because they're all key points.
Okay.
So, and please go back to our first show, part one. You go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, go to the radio tab, and you can listen, or go to our webpage or our Facebook page, theecosystemapproach.org, and you can view the video there. So here we go. So here are the main points. Caregiving always starts with the caregiver. Your emotions and your emotional story are front and center. You don't have to be a victim to negative feelings of guilt, frustration, overwhelm, resentment, irritation, anger, and shame, because you can clear them. That's what the ecosystem approach is all about. You take those, you see those emotions and you clear them away, as opposed to just being a victim to them. Because if you don't, they build up. And chances are most of us who are caregivers, who are non-professional, who just do it with family or whatever, we're just thrust into that position.
And yes, and not only thrust into it, but also feel obligated to be part of that. And it's the interesting part that I see about all of that is we think that we're not allowed to speak up. We think we're not allowed to say, I'm very frustrated about today, or I'm angry about today. The worst thing is that those of us that are caregivers, and I admit I'm his mom's, biggest, primary caregiver. I oftentimes will get stuck in the guilt and the frustration and the anger, but almost every time it goes back to connecting to my story of when I was a caregiver for my younger sister.
And it's important,
my disabled sister.
I think it's important to note that your mother on her deathbed asked you to take care of your sister. And she died after we had gotten together, but that guilt from all of that has been present for years and years.
Well, and how do you say no to someone on their deathbed?
Exactly.
I mean, it doesn't
talk about a manipulation.
Talk about it. Yes.
You can't say, "Oh, don't die. Let's talk about it."
Yeah, no, it doesn't happen that way.
So the other thing, another key point.
Okay.
It's important to understand the why of what you're doing.
Meaning,
purpose.
What's your purpose as a caregiver?
What's your purpose as a caregiver? But not only that.
Okay.
What is your purpose in life?
Yes.
Because so many people get lost in caregiving.
Yes, they do.
If you're clear about your purpose, you can always keep clearing to find a creative way to function, to do that purpose in the world, while you're caregiving, or as you're caregiving, or find some sort of solution for that.
Exactly.
But most people say, "Oh, I can't do it," and they just give up.
Well, and how you do that is by using the ecosystem approach, because when you start using the ecosystem approach, that awareness that happens for you, I'm going to say as the caregiver, or as someone who is either about to step into that position, that kind of thing, what happens for you is that it helps you remember that caregiving is definitely a part of what your day is going to be about, but for you to remember what your purpose in life is about. And how you do that is go back and look at your story. Ask yourself, why am I here on earth at this time? And you will not believe some of the things that you come up with.
Caregiving has often been part of the mark that we've talked about for star seeds that have kept them from their purpose.
That is correct.
And it's not that you should just go black and white and say, "Oh, I'm not going to do it."
Right. No,
but it's important to understand the big picture, and you do that by clearing your way through.
Exactly.
So clearing is the best. Here's another key point. Clearing is the best way to create happiness and fun and satisfaction of the life force energy. Now, one of the things about our work with Mom, we have fun. We have 2 dogs. They love her. She's always talking to the dogs. They're taking care of her.
As if they understand her. It's actually quite funny.
She's taking care of them.
Yes.
And we get together at the end of the day, and we joke around, we laugh, and you don't see that. You don't see that in old folks' home. You don't see that.
No, you certainly don't.
With people that are caregivers. Generally, it's a very somber, I have to do this kind of energy.
And you know what? I want to make a point. My mentally disabled sister that I cared for, one of the things that she taught me was, my love of music, but also her love of music. And I would dance and sing with her every single day. I figured out how you could dance with somebody in a wheelchair. And I got to tell you, it was a lot of fun. But today, Jason's
You
mom,
figured that out as a child.
I figured it out as a child.
And you were acting, you're offering her life force energy.
And I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing, but that's exactly what I was doing. And today, when Jason's mom, by the way, one of the things we discovered is that elderly people, they get depressed really easy. And so one of the things that I will do, I still dance and sing every single day. I know I look like an idiot sometimes, but the bottom line, I don't care. The bottom line is that when I see that his mom is really struggling with things, I will dance. And by the way, the only voice that she can actually hear with any clarity at all is mine, and it has to do with the tone. My point that I'm getting at is that having fun, you can't have fun if you're angry and bitter, and
you have to get rid of the negative energy.
Exactly.
Fun only can be possible when you get rid of the negative energy.
And so I've learned to do that.
Clearing. Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
So here's another key point. Dark energy is allowed free reign when people lack the ability, consciousness to hide it. The worst, and we all have it. And this is other shows that we've done. We all have it inside of us, but if we have a consciousness, we're able to suppress it, to act like it doesn't exist.
Compartmentalize.
Yes.
Yes.
The worst of a person's enneagram types come forward in old age, and especially with dementia.
Yes.
And these dark energies always find those who start to lose their consciousness, who are empty,
right?
And this dark energy just roars up and go forward.
Right.
People are considered what's the word? Bad behavior in old age is eccentric. You're eccentric if you're,
I see what you're looking at.
And it's not eccentricity, that's dark energy, and it can be cleared.
Right.
So here's another key point. Using refined intuition to go to the highest persons of a level of a person's essence to communicate and influence is very effective. There are some people, because of their dysfunction, and it could be alcoholism, it could be
correct,
it could be drug addiction,
correct,
they could be OCD, they could have any other schizophrenic. You almost have to go up to their,
because what they're stuck in,
yes,
they can't accept it. So if you use your refined intuition by using the ecosystem approach, then the bottom line is that you're not only helping them, but you're actually helping you.
So dark energies is another key point. Seek to exist and maintain their position, their possession, and will do so to own their territory. So as you start to clear it away, there's a pushback. There's always a pushback. It doesn't want to go. It's not as easy as saying, one of those floors and say, everybody in this floor is fired. You're out of here. And there's always a pushback.
Yes.
They don't want to go. They don't want to leave.
Correct.
So that's part of the understanding. Mm-hmm. So the headquarter metaphor for essence, 10 stories, 10 parts, mm-hmm. and 8 of those, go to our website. You can read the article about the discovery, have bad employees.
Yes.
And are not working for the highest and best interest of you or your company in this case. That's the metaphor.
So one of the things that we're going to do this morning is we're going to tell you how to do clearing. And in the next segment, we're going to do that. We're going to do some clearing and take note of how you feel right now, and then take note after you've done the clearing and see if you feel a difference.
It's very simple. You can sit, stand, lay down, be walking, mm-hmm. And be driving,
running.
And so when we say and to eliminate, mm-hmm. in your mind's eye, in your imagination, gather up all those things to eliminate, whether it's veils and illusions, barriers, or specific emotions.
Correct.
Gather them up and blow them into the processor. And the processor looks like this. It's like a wagon with some wheels on the bottom.
And a garbage can.
Yes.
And the bottom line is think about it. You want to use the processor because you don't want to throw your negative energies out for somebody else to walk into. And by the way, that's been happening for way too long. So, and then after that, we're going to activate life force. And what that is we're going to use the strongest energy, the most powerful energy that anyone has access to. We're going to call upon it, and we're going to use that to help us, well, clean up our act even more. So stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to do clearings to help you with caregiving in an energy way. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to help you with caregiving in an energy way. We're going to do some clearing. So, Jason, take it away.
Here we go. So I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the barrier. So I know the most important thing for me as a caregiver is clearing my negative emotions. So gather up those barriers, blow them into that processor, or put them in a trash can. If you don't know what the processor looks like, you have to go closer to the camera.
Excuse me.
Yep,
there we go.
That's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
Okay. And to eliminate the barrier so I can see that those without consciousness attract dark energies that can be cleared.
And you're going to pick it up and blow it and put it into the end of the top of the...
Gather up those barriers.
Right.
Yep.
Good one. All right. And to eliminate any intense feelings of fear, hurt, and shame and responsibility that are common with caregiving and that I get overwhelmed with and don't know what to do. I release and let go of them. I'm picking them up and I'm putting them into that processor. And if you can't remember what the processor looks like, use a garbage can. We'll empty it out. You don't need it anymore.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see the behaviors that trigger me when I'm caregiving and the intense anger that follows. Just, you can clear all those things. Those triggers, you can clear them. You can clear so you can see them. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the false belief that says, when I'm caregiving, I have to be a victim to the person that I'm caregiving and their story, when the truth is, I don't have to be a victim at any time, and I can use life force energy to help me get through anything and everything, especially in caregiving. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see there is a special power using intuition, refined intuition, to talk to someone's essence. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the blocks to my hope and my health and the person that I'm caring for, their health, so that we as two people, two energies, can communicate with each other in our highest and best interest. Take a nice breath.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can know myself and my triggers that affect me with my caregiving.
Yes.
That's so important. Take a breath.
Here's a great one. And to eliminate any unconsciousness I have about what's in the best interest of the person that I'm caring for. Starting right now, take a breath. And by the way, sometimes that person that you're caring for is you. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see the opportunities for me developing myself with the ecosystem approach as a caregiver.
Yes. Take a breath.
Would you life force?
Well, I want to do one more. And to eliminate the blocks that are keeping me from getting stuck and feeling trapped in caregiving. This energy doesn't serve. That's truly negative energy doing its best to mess with you. It doesn't serve you. Take a breath. Now we're going to activate life force. Life force is the most powerful energy that any of us has access to. And what we're going to do is we're going to call upon it. We're going to ask it to come in through the top of our head and go all the way down to the tips of our toes. we're going to stop it right there. We're going to turn it around, and we're going to use that powerful energy to remove more negative energy and put it into the processor or garbage can, because we don't want it around in the universe or around us at all. And it goes like this. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to activate life force energy, so I can use life force energy for caregiving, for my daily life, for happiness and hope, and, well, let's see, objectivity and creativity every single day, no matter what I'm doing. Take a nice breath, pull it in, use life force energy, and now blow out any negative energy that's left over.
And to activate life force so I can have hope for my personal evolution, even while caregiving.
Love it. Take a breath. And to eliminate, and to activate life force, so I can decide to put myself first in a non-self-absorbed way, so that I can be the best caregiver for the person that I'm caring for right now and every single day. Take a breath. And I have one more, Jason.
Okay.
And to activate life force, so I can be happy and healthy, creative, have objectivity, have love of myself, love of the person that I'm taking care of, and love of the job of the person that I'm taking care of, and be happy about doing it all, starting right now. Pull in that life force energy, be happy. Nice and easy, and blow out any negative energy. Jason, what are we going to talk about next week on our show?
On our show on Monday is Life Without Strings. Now, I was struggling to find the right title for this, because this is so encompassing for everything.
Okay.
This is my favorite saying. People are implementing their life according to doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results.
Correct.
Einstein said that. That's the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
What we see as intuitives, and this is why this is an amazing show, is that the whole world is doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results.
Yes.
And it's because what we've discovered, and what's so unique about the ecosystem approach, is it's the frame that we do things with. It's not
Correct.
that we're doing the wrong things, it's how we're doing those things. And it's the how that that allows the negative energy to come in, and we're all so unconscious about it, where it's like we're all crazy.
Because
if you
we've
look
been
around,
programmed.
If you look around, the world seems like it's going crazy. And this is gonna
really,
we're gonna really kind of get to why that is.
Okay, I absolutely love that. Jason, what can I do, or what can the audience do to start using the ecosystem approach today?
So if you're a caregiver, or you're going to be a caregiver, and all of a sudden there's something that we talked about today that just touched you, that you got that little nudge, that little thing that says, oh yeah, this is for me.
Okay.
Go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org. Sign up for our free section. That's so important, because there's a lot of content right there.
Right.
You'll get our weekly newsletter, which is sort of the backstory to every show. And it'll also have clearings. And clearings are cumulative. They're energy. And the more you clear, the better it gets.
Exactly.
People kind of dabble with it. Okay, I'll do 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there. But a lot of our clients put the clearings on their phone and do it during the day, and then they listen to the next show and do those clearings. It's very, very effective, and it's all free. You've got to do this. This is really groundbreaking. You don't know it until you start doing the energy work and removing that negative energy and see it happening.
Exactly. Tell them about Facebook, Jason.
So go to our website. That's the first thing, and sign up. Listen to our show every week, 1 p.m. Pacific time, or go to our Facebook page, theecosystemapproach.org, and you can see our videos there. You make a comment, leave a comment there. That's great. And we just come and be with us and join us every week.
Join us. And the other thing is that if you on Facebook, you can make suggestions for shows that you might want to hear that, hear what we have to say about, or make comments to us. We would love to hear from you. And Jason, how do they do that?
They just go to our Facebook page
Okay.
and leave a comment there.
Okay.
And the truth is that we take all these different topics. We don't have a theme like we're helping you with weight loss or one thing, because it's the frame, and we'll talk about that next week's show.
I love that. So we'll connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific time and 4 p.m. Eastern time. This is Transformation Talk Radio. We've been sitting in for Dr. Pat today, and thank you for that opportunity. You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.